どうしました？どうしました？
Hello, everyone. Hello. How's everybody doing?
どうしました？
Oh, hello, everyone. Seems like I can still hear
Hello.
someone. How's everybody doing?
どうしました？
Hello? Apologies to everybody. We were encountering some technical problems, but hopefully you're there. Welcome everybody to our 6th Women in Tech event. Yay! Oh, hello. Okay, great. I'm seeing people's comments now. Hi. We're so excited to have you here. So I'm Mikako, and I'll be your MC for the event, and I'm also going to be moderating the panel discussion later on. It's so great to see everybody here. Hi. All right. So before we begin, let me go over some housekeeping items. Okay. So please keep in mind that we will be recording this event during the whole session to keep improving our future events. And also today, the facilitation is mainly going to be in English. And also please make sure that the attendees don't record the presentations. And also please feel free to leave questions or comments anytime in the YouTube live channel, live chat. Yeah, so exactly what you're already doing. And lastly, you're welcome to share about our event and comments by using the hashtag Mercari Women. So please actively share on Twitter and on any social media, and feel free to invite people to join throughout the event, like during the event. And yeah, so again, like feel free to keep commenting. Let's keep this session interactive. Next slide, please. All right, so let's get started. But first, let's do some quick warm-up. I think this time around, because of the topic also, I think that people are joining from all over the world. So please comment on YouTube live chat about where you're from. Please tell us where you're joining us from today. Hello. Okay, Hello. Obviously, I'm joining from Tokyo. I'm from the Roppongi office, actually. Oh, wow. Hi. Wow, that's so great to see. So India, Taiwan, Hungary, nice. Kagoshima, Philippines, that's so exciting. New Zealand, awesome. Wow. So some people are joining really early during the day. Thank you so much for joining. Awesome. That's really exciting. Near Roppongi too? Nice. Hi from Berlin. Hi, everyone. Indonesia. Great, awesome. So excited to see. Shanghai, nice. All right. So yeah, this is great. Please, keep interacting with us. Okay, quickly on today's agenda. So until about for about 15 minutes, I'll give you some welcome notes. And from about, I would say, since we started a little late, 6:20-ish, we'll start the panel discussion. And lastly, for about 15 minutes, we'll have a Q&A session. So you can obviously ask questions there, but also, again, feel free to ask during the session as well. All right. So first, let me introduce myself very quickly. My name is Mikako, Mikako Tai, and I'm currently HR Business Partner Manager at Mercari Japan. And I'm originally from Shizuoka, Japan. And I actually joined Mercari back in 2017. And when I joined, I was an interpreter and translator at this team called Global Operations Team. And back then, because each team was doing all kinds of different things, I was involved in a global hiring project. And that's when I moved to the HR division as a manager for onboarding and global talent outreach. And about 2.5 years ago, I moved to the HRBP team as an HRBP for engineering. And now I am manager for the HRBP team. Before Mercari, I was at this New York-based nonprofit organization specialized in higher education and skills development in Africa. So I moved to Tokyo after my 6 years at this nonprofit. And my team is hiring also. So today we are featuring tech, but please, if you know of anybody who might, be excited about this opportunities, please, let them know and encourage them to apply. All right. Okay, so in my welcome notes, I'll be first explaining to you a little bit about the Mercari group and what we do. And the second half is going to be about Mercari's relocation support as well as the onboarding program. So let's get right to it. So briefly on the company, Mercari Group is made up of 6 main subsidiaries. One is, of course, Mercari Inc., and there are 5 other companies, Merpay, Mercari US, Sozo, Mercoin, and Kashima Antlers. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So a little bit about us. Mercari Inc. was established in 2013, and we now have offices in Tokyo, Sendai, Fukuoka, Osaka. All of these are in Japan, and also in Palo Alto, California, in the United States. And we are now over 1,700 employees group-wide. So yeah, we are growing really fast because when I joined back in 2017, the company was still about 500 to 600 people. So, it's close to 4 times more, 3 to 4 times more. So we are growing very, very fast. Okay. So what is Mercari? Sorry. Mercari is a C2C marketplace app where individuals can easily sell and buy used items or secondhand goods. And we are actually Japan's very first tech unicorn, and we successfully IPO'd in 2018. The Mercari app is currently available only in Japan, but we have a localized version of the app in the United States as well. Okay. So our businesses are, constantly expanding, and we now have 4 distinct products across the group. So the one on the far left is the Mercari app that I just spoke to you about. And then we have Merpay, which is our mobile payment service that can be used actually as a wallet using the proceeds from Mercari transactions. And obviously we have the Mercari US app, the blue one in the middle. And on the far right is the new Shops app, which is an app where small to medium-sized business owners can easily open a store online using the Mercari platform. Okay, just quickly on our mission. Our group mission is to create value in a global marketplace where anybody can buy and sell. Next slide, please. So these are our values that employees actually relate to and, every day strive to demonstrate. So go bold, all for one, and be a pro. And these values haven't changed ever since the company was launched in 2013. Okay. Trust and openness is actually the foundation, the culture that we really try to foster and promote. So we value relationships based on trust and obviously psychological safety. And this means that we also value open communication as well as transparency in terms of info sharing. So our organization is built very flat. We don't believe so much in hierarchy. So, everybody is just expected to perform at their optimum, at their maximum, capacity in the organization. And we believe that every individuals working in such a way would build a strong organization. Okay. So I wanted to share with you some stats about diversity at Mercari. So Mercari employees now come from over 40 different countries across the globe. And in the Tokyo office, approximately 50% of our software engineers are non-Japanese. And this is all because of rigorous international hiring. And obviously this number is growing more and more day by day. And it's also not written here, but 20% of the employees in the Tokyo office are from outside Japan in total. Okay. And also, as part of building our culture, we work on promoting diversity and inclusion at Mercari. So these are just some examples. But the first one, the unconscious bias workshop, was actually developed internally in the company, and this is made mandatory for managers at Mercari. The aim of this is to help participants understand unconscious bias and recognize, or actually develop a habit of recognizing unconscious biases in daily lives. And I'm not going to go through this one by one, but just as an example, we also have D&I Council now. It was launched in January 2021, and it's directly under the management of Mercari's CEO. And so he also wants to make sure that each businesses and each team is promoting D&I in their own right. Okay. So why are we serious about creating diversity or creating a diverse and inclusive workforce? This is because we believe that a diverse workforce and an inclusive environment is actually essential to us achieving our mission, and it can actually become a competitive advantage. So we deliberately create a diverse workforce so we are equipped to build a world-class, globally competitive product. All right, so that was a brief introduction of the company and organizational culture. Now I want to explain to you the relocation and onboarding support that we provide our employees coming from overseas. Okay. So the current support package that we have was actually created back in 2018 when we had a large influx of engineers coming from outside Japan. And when we accepted a large influx of engineers, we listed everything that the employees needed to move and settle in smoothly in Japan. But yeah, even today, we continuously tweak and improve the support package by receiving lots and lots of feedback from our employees. Okay. So I wanted to share with you what kind of pre-joining support we provide, as well as the timeline of our support. But before I go into the details, unfortunately, due to COVID, due to this situation, at the moment we're not able to. For the past a year and a half, we weren't able to have new joinees come from overseas just because the border was closed and the visas were not being issued. So currently we have about 50 employees waiting to join us, and some of those people are working as contractors at the moment, including Anastasia and Mukti, who will be joining us as panelists today. But obviously, when we are ready to accept new joinees at Mercari, we will be providing the same kind of support. So I wanted to introduce this support package to you. The content includes all of these things that are listed here. We usually start roughly about 3 months before your arrival, and we have dedicated teams assisting you with relocation briefing, obviously the visa application, international move arrangements and apartment search, etc. And upon your arrival, we assist you with moving into a temporary apartment where you first come to Japan. I mean, not necessarily Tokyo at this time. And you are being oriented in settling in Japan, and also we introduce you to real estate agencies that also have English support. Post arrival and joining, once you arrive in Japan, you would have to register your residence. So we assist you with that process because not all city wards or community wards have proper English support in Japan sometimes. So yeah, we have someone who will assist you with your bank account setup, full phone contract, SIM card purchase, and obviously the apartment search, the long-term lease, and etc. Okay. So prior to COVID, we used to support our employees to find an apartment and settle in Tokyo specifically, but now, well, Tokyo specifically, because our offices are actually in Roppongi, which is in the middle of Tokyo. But during COVID, we tested out so many different ways of working, and we created our new work style policy and guidelines called Your Choice. So basically, under Your Choice, you can work from anywhere within Japan, and so basically you can work remotely if you prefer to do that, and also come into the office if you prefer to do that. And if you're working remotely from somewhere outside of Tokyo, and if you want to commute to the Tokyo office, the company covers that, covers the transportation. So everybody's encouraged to come to the office from time to time. So yeah, we encourage all of our employees to choose a work style that maximize you and your team's productivity and performance. So this is something new that we are testing out. Okay. Just quickly on what kind of onboarding support that you will be part of upon joining. So we have a pretty extensive orientation program, and robust content that will help you settle in smoothly to the company culture. And we also have mentor program. We take this very seriously, actually. So every new member is assigned a member from your team who would assist you as a mentor, and basically supports you in day-to-day work and getting to know people and building psychological safety, etc. Throughout your the first month of joining. Okay. So day 1 and day 2 are usually dedicated to company onboarding, but as engineers and people who are working in the tech side of things, we have a customized onboarding content for engineers. So after that company onboarding, we usually invite you to the engineering orientation, where you would be introduced to the engineering culture, engineering structure, how engineering and development works at Mercari, and things like that. Okay, so if you're moving from overseas, there's a chance that you don't speak proficient Japanese yet. But at Mercari, we support you throughout this language, endeavors. So we have a dedicated team that assists you with translation and interpretation in your day-to-day work. So the team is called Global Operations Team, so we call them GOT, but they can be available on an as-needed basis. Okay. Mercari also provides language training and lessons to non-native Japanese or English speakers. So upon joining, usually we ask you to take this internally created test to determine your language level for Japanese, and only if you're not a native speaker. And based on your score, you will be invited to a class that is suitable for your language level. And you are going to be invited to classes that you can actually take during your work hours. Ultimately, we believe that languages are a tool, right? So it only makes sense if language can be used effectively in the business or work setting. So we at Mercari, we promote yasashi communication. And yasashi, to those of you who might not know, means kind or considerate in Japanese, but it also means simple. So a native English speaker or an English proficient speaker are expected to speak in yasashi eigo to those who don't necessarily understand English very well. And the same goes for proficient Japanese speakers. They're all expected to speak in yasashi nihongo so that, everybody can meet halfway and have effective business communication. All right, so we're running short on time, so I'm gonna go quickly. But we also offer some support to increase team productivity. So not just in terms of language communication, but intercultural and also mindset training. So intercultural communication sessions can be available on an as-needed basis, and also unconscious bias training. This is again made mandatory for managers. All right, so just briefly on the working environment and how Mercari assists you with, living it with any personal things that you might encounter during your, time at Mercari. So we have this benefit system, which is actually very much loved and loved by employees and are taken advantage of. So it's called Mercy Box. And it was introduced in 2016, and it has all kinds of perks as part of the Mercy Box. But it's all online, so if you have some time, please check out the content of it. But I think our panelists today will touch on some of these things and how they made use of the Mercy Box. So please stay tuned. All right. So thank you very much. That is it from me. It must have been a lot of information, but yeah, thanks for staying with me still. If you have any questions, please ask in the live chat. And yeah, as you all know, the next on the agenda is the panel discussion. So let's go ahead and invite our speakers here. Okay, so we have 4 amazing speakers today. Hello.
Hey.
So everybody works for Mercari Japan. Yeah, and they all work, so the 2 product managers and 2 software engineers. We all work for the product and engineering teams for Mercari Japan. So yeah, welcome. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Great. Awesome. So let's get right to it. So first, I want to ask each of you to give a quick self-introduction. So Suwen, can you start off with your introduction?
Sure. Thank you. I'm Suwen. I'm the technical product manager from Mercari JP team. And originally, I'm from Nanjing, China. I came to Japan 12 years ago, actually to get my master's degree. And after that, I found out I really like living here. So I stayed and worked here. I have a 5-year-old daughter. And in my private time, I like traveling, music, books, and online shoppings. And recently, I started learning piano with my daughter. Nice to meet you here.
Oops, sorry, I was muted. Welcome, Suwen. Excited to hear from you. And you've lived in Japan for 12 years, so we're gonna, ask you more about that later. So Emma, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm from New Zealand. Hi to everybody in the comments. Thanks for messaging. Yeah, so I started working in New Zealand and then I moved to Canada. I was there for 3 years and spent most of it traveling around Canada and the US. And yeah, I was an Android developer there, and then I discovered Mercari and moved to Japan 3 years ago. I'm now an Android tech lead. I work in the listing screen. So that means if you want to try and sell an item, I deal with everything to do with that. So my hobbies are traveling, obviously, music, and I like to play tennis, but I found it very difficult in Japan, so I'm still working on that one.
Awesome. Yay, welcome,
Thanks,
Emma.
nice to meet you.
So you've worked in many different countries, several different countries, so it would be nice to hear from you regarding what it's like living in Japan versus other countries. All right, Anastasia.
Yeah. Hello. My name is Anastasia. I was born in Siberia in Russia, and currently I am working and living in Moscow, working remotely for Mercari as an Android engineer for about 8 months. So my hobbies includes music and books and swimming, and I especially enjoy creating new things from ideas from scratch. Yeah, so thank you very much for joining. It's so nice to meet you here. Yeah, thank you.
Yay. So Anastasia is currently working from Russia, so let's hear more about that later. Okay. Mukti, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Mukti. I'm working as Technical Product Manager in Engagement Platform team in Mercari JP. I'm currently in Lucknow, India, so working as a overseas contractor. And prior to Mercari, I lived for 10 years in the Netherlands. I'm also mother to 15 months old twin boys. And in my free time, I like watching movies, swimming, yoga, traveling. So right now, swimming and traveling is restricted because of COVID. So it's mostly movies and yoga for me. Nice to meet everyone.
Yay, welcome. All right, so Mukti will be moving with 2 of her boys. So yeah, that'll be exciting. Okay, so we have 4 topics for our panel discussion. The first one is moving to Japan. Obviously, everybody either have moved to Japan or are moving to Japan in the future. So let's talk more about that. And also, we're going to hear from Suen and Emma about their experience living in Japan, working from overseas during COVID, and also job search and interview process. Okay. So the first one is moving to Japan. Emma and Suen, you have already moved to Japan, and I'd like to hear from you regarding your relocation experience. So Emma, why don't you share us your experience first?
Yeah, so my experience was really painless, actually. I feel very lucky, to be honest. I did all the hiring process in Canada. They did give me the option to fly to Japan for an interview if I wanted, but unfortunately, it didn't fit with my schedule at the time. But yeah, once I actually got the offer, the whole process was so easy. Like, they dealt with all of the documentation, getting my visa, moving everything. They hired a company. They came, picked up everything, put it on the ship, and sent it to Japan. And all I had to do was basically get on the plane. And then once I arrived at the airport in Tokyo, there was somebody waiting for me at the gate, helped me get all my luggage, showed me how to actually get from the airport to Tokyo itself, which is not an easy thing to do. And then took me to my new accommodation, which Mercari had arranged for me in advance. It was like a temporary accommodation for a couple of months. And then the next day she came back, picked me up again, took me to the bank, helped me set up a bank account, and took me to the city hall, helped me register everything needed. Yeah, it was really, really good.
Nice. And why did you choose to work in Japan in the first place?
So I'm kind of trying to work in different places. Like you said, I worked in like North America for a bit. Now I wanted to go to Asia, and like Japan was, I thought, the best country in the area to work in. I wanted to learn the language, and it seemed like a really cool place to just base myself and then travel a little bit around Southeast Asia. Unfortunately, coronavirus kind of stopped that from happening, but I'm still hoping it will work out.
I see. Well, thanks, Emma. Suen, so 12 years ago, you relocated. What was your experience like?
I have to say I'm so jealous with Emma's experience. I wish I was with Mercari 12 years ago. Initially, I chose Japan for my education was because Japan has a lot of IT opportunities and safe, and it's also near my hometown. And after 2 years master study, I explored several areas in Japan, and I found that I really like living here, especially Tokyo. And Tokyo combines tradition and modern perfectly, and a lot of delicious food and many activities to do for every season. So I decided, start to work a couple of years here probably. Then I got married and had my daughter here. And I found out Japan has actually many good systems to support career women. For example, there's women can take maternity leave till the kids goes to the daycare, and actually not only the mother but the father also could benefit from this parental leave. Yeah, and company like Mercari provides child care leave. So when kids is young. So as they often get sick, so I can use the such kind of child care leave to take care, bring my daughter to clinic. And in addition to child care leave, Mercari also provides a sick leave, which can apply to every family members, partners, and even pets. So I found it really, it's really helpful. Such kind of system it's helped me to balance my career and family. That's why I'm still here.
Yes, we're so glad you're still here. Yeah. And Emma, like what support did you appreciate the most?
Oh, definitely setting up the bank account. I heard so many horror stories from my friends who tried to set up bank accounts without help from, I guess, Japanese speaker.
Right.
Like English names are a big problem. If your name is too long, they don't accept it. If you have a middle name, they don't like it. It can be so difficult, which I didn't realize because for me it was just kind of go to the bank, sit there while they discussed, and then see what happens. And it all worked out in a day. So
Nice.
So, how did you find it?
Yeah, it was like not so difficult for me because actually I couldn't speak Japanese when I just arrived here, but I could read the kanji because I'm from China, so I could guess the meaning. So it was much easier than Emma. But I have to say, even today, when I go to bank, every time I feel like very stressful, you know. Yeah.
And how did you both deal with hanko, the stamp?
I still don't have one.
Oh, really?
I would love to have one, but the bank account I got didn't require one. They just allowed signature, which
nice.
Which is really nice.
Same with me. I
bank.
also I also choose a bank like doesn't require stamp. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. I see. Thank you very much. And Mukti, I mean, obviously you haven't moved to Japan yet, but I'm very curious to ask you, like, how did you make the decision to relocate with your family, and make this decision during such a, an uncertain, difficult time?
Yeah, so while I was living in Netherlands, one of my roommates was from Japan, and she shared a lot of good things about the culture, about the country. So I was very curious, and I wanted to experience, come to Japan and experience it myself. But then I was thinking, when will I get this opportunity? So when I got this opportunity from Mercari, and also the kind of support which was promised in the relocation package, it gave me this confidence that yes, I can actually travel to Japan with my kids. And also given the fact that Japan is a very safe place to raise kids. So yeah, all of this contributed to me making this decision that yes, I'm going to move to Japan.
That's great. Thanks, Mukti. And Anastasia, your picture is not here, but I will also want to ask you, how did you make that decision?
Oh yeah, I have a classical set of reasons, like Japan is safe and convenient and clean and polite, and taxes are not that bad, and Japan is quite close to my hometown, my home country. But on top of that, I have the vision that Japan has lots of potential in terms of growing, especially in software engineering. I believe that so many products are there to build, so many things are going to be improved, and I want to be a part of this process. So yeah, that's why I choose Japan.
Awesome. Well, Mukti and Anastasia, we can't wait for you to be here very, very soon, hopefully. Yeah, awesome.
Coming to Japan.
Yeah.
Also, what I heard from Emma and Suven is also kind of quite encouraging and giving a lot of confidence, right? That it's not going to be that difficult. It's going to be easy and smooth. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you. So we have 3 more topics, so let's move to the next one. So the next one is about your experience living in Japan. So Emma and Suwen, I'm gonna start asking you questions. So Emma, what was your overall experience? What is, I guess, your overall experience like living in Japan? And did you face any culture shock when you moved?
Yeah, I did. I can't actually describe very well what it was because everybody always asks me, how is it different? And I just really struggle to answer that question for some reason. But the things that really stick out in my mind from the first couple of days would be trying to take a shower and there was no hot water. It turns out you have to turn it on in the kitchen. I did not see that one coming. And also having to use Google Translate on my phone in order to use the air conditioning, that kind of thing. But I actually really enjoy living in Tokyo. It's a really great city to experience. I love the way there are so many different areas that you kind of walk one block in one direction and it's a completely different area. The whole vibe has just changed, and there's so many of them, just little places connected together. It doesn't feel like a huge big city. Sometimes it feels like a lot of little villages all really close
Yeah.
together.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. And what about you, Suwon?
Honestly speaking, I didn't encounter any big culture shock because maybe because like I'm from China, Asia, so it's easier for me to adapt to the Japanese culture. And I have been always working with companies like Mercari. It has like very open and modern working styles. I mean, I choose to work with such kind of company. That's why I didn't encounter like big issue. Of course, there are some small different cultural differences. For example, in what I learned in Japan, if the audience are quiet in a meeting, it doesn't mean they are agree with you. So such kind of thing I learned like after years and years, I figure out those kind of different cultures. Yeah, but overall, my 12 years living here, no matter for working experience or private life, are very smooth.
I see. Thank you very much. And I mean, a lot of things in Japan are still very much Japanese, like culturally and also language-wise. So, like, how are you adapting to that? Like, are you learning the language? Are you studying Japanese? Both of you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been taking classes for 3 years. It's a slow process for me. I find the language very different from the ones I usually speak. So
Yeah.
I guess, like Suwon mentioned, she already knows kanji, which is a huge
That
advantage.
helps.
Yeah, it helps, but I'm still actually learning. Even after 12 years, I'm not yet like a professional or fluent in Japanese yet. And when I arrived in Japan, I couldn't speak any Japanese. And in my master degree and first company, actually, I use almost everything in English. And in my later company, it requires some Japanese. So I attended the class like Mercari provided, like one-on-one lessons to during the onboarding period, like 6 months. It helps a lot because those kind of one-on-one actually focus the working required Japanese, and it teach you also like a lot of like company. This company required the kind of like communication terms. And later on, since I'm product manager, I have to communicate with CS team, customer service team, in Japanese, and I also has to read VOC stuff, customer voice. Those everything is in Japanese. So those kind of roles force me to use Japanese in like more and more, and it helps me improve a lot. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I mean, using is usually the fastest way, I guess, right, to get used to the language, and culture. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. So both of you live with a partner or family, I think. But like, was there any specific challenges associated with that? Like, what is it like living with your family here? I guess, Suwon?
Yeah, sure. I can share my experience. I took a year off to take care of my daughter. So 2 months before she was born and 10 months after she born, and after that, actually, my husband also took like around 2 months parenting leave until my daughter goes daycare. And after my daughter in daycare, like the first year, she got sick quite often. So sometimes I have to take sudden leaves. But after like she turns 2, everything become like more stable and smooth. And now I could work from home. So after my daughter's daycare, I can like drop her and send her to the after daycare after school classes to study like. She also studied Japanese, English, and piano stuff. So actually, Mercari employees can also get some discount for housekeeping services. I'm also using that to free me from the like housework a little bit. This was very helpful. Ma, I think for dual career families here, it's definitely like busy, but with all this system provided by the Japanese government, by the company, so I think it's manageable. It's manageable, and it's very I enjoy my stay here with my family.
Nice. And you find it to be flexible enough to
Yeah.
manage both, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So it looks like we have a question from our audience. So let's see. Question to Suwon and Mukti. So as product manager, how much Japanese do you use in your work? You want to take this, Mukti or
Yeah,
Suwon?
sure. So as of now, I don't speak Japanese at all, and I also don't understand Japanese that well. So my communication with all my colleagues is always in English. Having said that, the work environment is very inclusive. Even if there is a conversation, let's say there is a communication on Slack Messenger, which is all in Japanese, there would be somebody who would be willing to, summarize it for you, so you would understand what the context is. Apart from that, there are some bots like Translation Bot, which you can actually use to translate the communication yourself to understand what it is about. In addition, Mercari also offers supports with learning Japanese. So I have enrolled for beginners sessions to understand like basic Japanese. So, but I'm still not there yet because it's, for me, it's quite a difficult language to be fluent in. It's going to take some time. So yeah, I don't use Japanese for my work, but having said that, I get a lot of support to understand if there's any communication in Japanese.
Thank you, Mukti. And Suwon, do you have a relatively similar experience?
Yeah, it's similar. Actually, I use less Japanese in Mercari than my previous company, and I have to say it depends on role. Because some product manager maybe has to deal with some customer facing contents, so it definitely it will require some Japanese language. But for most of the discussions, like technical discussion and the communication with the engineering team and the discussion with other product managers, everything is in English. So actually, I think we require English more than Japanese here. Yeah, but I try to keep using Japanese. I try to so I sometimes force my engineering team members to talk with me in Japanese.
Nice. This is a practice, right? It's good.
Yeah.
Practice. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's pretty much the same for engineering as well, right, Emma and Anastasia?
Yeah, my team is 100% English speaking. So I also have to ask my colleagues to speak to me in Japanese every now and then so I can practice.
I see.
Yeah, my team is actually, most of my team are Japanese people. So from time to time, they use Japanese language. But since I've been learning Japanese for a while, most of their speech I understand. And if I don't, they just translate everything for me. So yeah, everyone is nice.
Yeah.
Language.
Right. So everybody is implementing yasashi communication.
Yes.
Sounds like. All right. So it seems like we're getting more questions. Are your partners working in Japan? If they do, did they find the job after they came to Japan? That's a very good question. Maybe Emma, do you want to answer this?
Sorry, I can't answer that one. I live by myself.
Maybe I can answer this.
Sure.
My partner, my husband is working in Japan, but actually he also studied here, and after that he found a job. But I have friends relocated from overseas to Japan, and then partner find a job here. So I had many friends had such kind of experience. Of course, it depends on the if your partner can speak Japanese or not. So maybe the roles available is differently. So I have some friends a partner working also as an English teacher, and some actually working in the car companies. So it really depends on the partners each experiences, but they all could find a good job here.
I see. Thank you, Suwon. Okay, so I guess if you have any I guess we answered some questions, so maybe let's move on to the next slide. Sorry, next topic in the interest of time. Okay. So next, I want to hear from Mukti and Anastasia regarding how what it's like working from overseas and working remotely with Mercari. And again, like Mukti and Anastasia are still waiting to enter Japan, but they are going to be coming to Japan and joining Mercari officially. Like once they are ready, once the visas are issued, and they're ready to come. So the first question. Mukti, can you share us your experience working from overseas as a PM?
Yeah, sure. So initially, when I was told that temporarily I would have to work from outside of Japan, I had my own inhibitions like, will I be able to contribute, how the setup is going to be. But all my inhibitions were removed because the entire onboarding process, starting from getting my laptop, my work device, having that configured and set up, everything was done very smoothly and remote. And the entire onboarding and induction went very, very smooth. So basically, there is a time difference between India and Japan. There's a 3.5 hour difference. So Japan is 3.5 hour ahead. So there are certain meetings which I have to take early in the morning, but then it's like 7:30 a.m. For me, which is I know it's only for temporary. It's just a temporary setup, and after that, once I move to Japan, things would be back to normal. Then the company also has flex working hours, so it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to be working for late hours or working early in the morning. So it's kind of like it works well with me. So yeah, quite smooth.
Nice. That's good to hear. And Anastasia, what about you? What's your experience like?
Yeah, my experience was quite similar to Mukti's. So yeah, overall it was quite great. On top of that, I had an opportunity to work from here, from Moscow, and travel back to my hometown and spend the whole summer with my family.
Yes.
Which is quite nice because in the nearest future I'll leave to another country. So yeah, overall it was quite great. Yeah.
I see. And do you think that your team, the people that you work with, like they are somehow like being mindful of the fact that you are working remotely? Like, do you guys take any proactive actions to make sure that you're able to work smoothly and have no blockers and stuff? Mukti?
Yeah, yes, they're very considerate. For example, if there's any meeting which is around, let's say, 5:30 a.m. in the morning, my time, I don't have to attend it because my colleague would say, okay, you can delegate this to me and I'll share a debrief with you later on. So yeah, they are definitely mindful and very considerate. So in fact, I'm very thankful for the collaborative culture there is in the organization.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And Anastasia, what about you?
Yeah, definitely the same for me. Definitely the same for me. So the time difference is a bit bigger for me because it's 6 hours between Japan and Moscow. So yeah, I sometimes have meetings from 6, maybe 5 a.m. And yeah, I potentially can delegate this. But the thing is that I want to be the part of the whole process, and I don't want to miss something. That's why, yeah, I prefer to start quite early and actually finish quite early during the day.
Yeah, makes sense. And how do you think like working from overseas differ from working remotely in Japan? Like, or do you think any difference? There is any difference?
I think I'm not able to physically meet my colleagues because,
Yes.
for example, if there's a gathering for lunch, if there are people meeting for lunch, of course, I can't join that physically. But to compensate that, we also have online lunches. So, for example, if it's lunchtime in Japan, it's breakfast time for me. And while I'm having my breakfast, my colleagues are having lunch and we communicate and chit chat with each other on topics which are also unrelated to work. So on that aspect, I don't see much difference. But having said that, I would definitely like to meet them in person one day once I'm in Japan. So really,
Yeah, totally agree. And actually, I want to add that if you work from another country, you have to face things like taxes. So you have to deal with the taxes by yourself because the company unfortunately cannot help you here because all countries have their own system. So yeah, you have to deal with everything by yourself. Plus, you'll have salary in yen, most probably. So it will be always unstable. If yen goes up, your salary goes up, which is great. But if yen goes down, your salary goes down. So yeah,
Mhm.
you should
Yeah,
keep that in mind. Yeah.
I see. Yep. Thank you very much. And how? So like Emma and Suan, like, do your teams like do a lot of team buildings activities?
Yeah. No, go.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Since I'm working with like multiple product teams, so actually I'm having quite a lot of team buildings, like with TPMs with each of the product teams. Yeah, but most of the team building events are online. Actually, not only like a team building, but we also like sharing the knowledge, like starting some like interesting product management related content, like new knowledge together.
Very
So
nice.
those kind of events we have quite often.
I see. And Emma, what about your team?
Yeah, we have a lot of team building. A lot of it's online because at least one of our members is not in Japan, but my team
Right.
also likes going to the office and meeting there or having team building at the office as well.
That's great. Yeah, it's nice to see that people are really, like making the most of the hybrid, work style. That's really nice. Yeah. Awesome. Great. So, looks like we have 3 questions to answer. Okay. Oh, maybe it relates to, the hiring process and stuff. That relates to the next topic. So maybe let's move on to the next one. Okay, thank you very much. So let's talk about job search and interview process. All 4 of you went through this, so you can share your, raw experience of what it was like with Mercari. But so what did you think about the job search and interview process with a company in Japan and also with specifically with Mercari? So Mukti, you want to start?
Sure. So for me, the entire process was very clear, structured, and smooth, starting from the job description, which was pretty much clear in terms of what is expected from the candidate. In addition, in the job description at the bottom, it was also mentioned the kind of relocation support you as a candidate will receive if you clear the interview process. So all that was quite motivating for me to make the application. And also the process was quite swift. After I made the application, I think within weeks time or 2 weeks time I got a response as well. And then I had 4 interview rounds, mostly with people with whom I'm working now. So they were mostly my colleagues who had interviewed me. And also it was very inclusive. I must say I didn't for once feel that I'm not a Japanese speaker, so it was completely
Oh, wow.
English. Yeah. So yeah, overall it went very smooth, and it was all the questions were more about to confirm if my experience was matching with the job expectation from the job, which was like already described in the job description. So yeah, overall it was quite smooth, good for me. Yeah.
Thank you. And Anastasia, you went through the interview process like early this year, right?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, yeah, job search in Japan took a lot of time for me. So I think I've been looking for a job for about 3 years. And even for Mercari, only the third attempt was successful. So yeah, it was quite tough. But if to compare like interview process, all that I have with Mercaris, it was quite great because of course it's technical interview and we had many technical tasks.
Yeah.
And those which I had personally was like the best parts of the interviews that I enjoy the most. I mean, yeah, the tasks itself were quite engaging, were quite interesting. And what I
Nice.
also, yeah, and also what I like the most is that there were so many discussions because interviews sometimes can be like a test, like yes or no questions, and if it's a no, nobody will explain why it's a no. But especially the last interview with Mercari was more like a discussion. So yeah, it was quite interesting to participate in.
I see. Thanks, Anastasia. And Emma, you were actually part of the fixing the interview process, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think I actually interviewed Anastasia at the part during her application process. Yeah, so I'm really happy that you like the improved process. We spend a lot of time trying to make it better for candidates, actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what did you think about your interview process? Maybe it was like, a couple of years ago, but Emma, do you have any comment on this?
Yeah, so like Mukti, I was also really enjoyed the way Mercari dealt with like language barrier. I didn't notice a language barrier when interviewing with Mercari. So I did interviews with quite a few Japanese companies, and that was the main problem I had most times. Like, for example, one of them, the guy was using Google Translate somehow. So he would ask me a question, I would reply, and then he would sit there for about 3 to 5 minutes in silence, just typing. And I was sitting there thinking, oh, what's going on? Should I have said something else? Like, it was really quite awkward. So that was possibly the worst experience I had. But like, there were many different ones. But yeah, Mercari was really great. Everything was in English, and yeah, I think it was actually the only interview process I went through where one of my interviewers was another woman. So I was really excited when that happened.
Great, yeah. I do feel for that interviewer who had to use Google Translate. But
yeah.
I see. I'm glad interviewers at Mercari don't have to go through that. That's great.
Me too.
And yeah, Suan, what did you think about the interview process?
I applied Mercari in Japan. I mean, I was already in Japan, but actually I had all my interviews also online. And in every interview, basically, the interviewers asked me to choose like whatever the language I feel comfortable. So I pick up the English for all the processes. I had like 3 rounds, but each round I talked with like multiple people. So for me, like the interesting things like in Mercari's interviews, interviewer like gave a quite very detailed explanation about the our company and our projects and organizations and the process as well. So it's more like a matching, like whether you as a candidate, do you like to work with us, like that kind of style. So I could actually understand what I need to like, what kind of project I'm going to be involved and what kind of the team members I'm going to work with. It helped me to have a very like a clear image about entering Mercari. And so after I enter, actually, I didn't feel, I even didn't feel like I moved to a new company. It's kind of another project, that feeling. So because I already met like most of them and had like a detailed discussion together.
Right. Yeah, that actually leads me to the next question. What do you think is unique about Mercari's interview process? Like I'm sure like others, you all have interviewed with other companies. Like when you compare the experience you had with Mercari to the other experience, like what do you think about ours? Who wants to answer? Emma, maybe.
Like if for companies not in Japan, I thought Mercari's process was kind of long, the interview process, but then talking to other people actually in Japan, other companies in Japan do a lot longer interview processes, like up to 9 interviews, which I honestly think is ridiculous. But yeah, outside of Japan, there were 3 max, I think. Yeah. That was the main thing I noticed, I think.
I see. Maybe Anastasia, you mentioned that you had fun during Mercari's interview, but
I always enjoy when I have an opportunity to actually talk to people who I've been interviewed. I mean, to the interviewers. So yeah, when I had a chance to discuss like tasks that were given to me, yeah, it's actually quite great. Because with most of Japanese companies, it was like a test. So
Yeah.
and you never cannot ask, like, you never got answer why is it a no, why is it a yes. So yeah.
Yeah, we really try to make the more important part, like the question at the end. If the candidate really seems interested in, how their life is going to be if they join this company, that is really a point in their favor.
Right. Yeah, one thing that I've heard a candidate say is they were surprised that, at Mercari, like not just an HR person, but everybody is so involved in the hiring process. So, just like, you all, like each of you are so involved in interviewing a candidate for your team and, even building the interview, like tests, technical tests and stuff like that. So that's pretty
Well, one of the questions we ask people to, like, when you're taking an interview, one of the questions that you should answer is like, do you want to work with this person? Is this a person you'd be comfortable having on your team, working with you every day?
Right.
And if the answer should be yes, right? Like, this is a really important question to answer.
Right. I see. Well, awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think I want to ask you one last thing. So because I think this is a women in tech, I think everybody's kind of interested in Mercari, and I think hence they are listening into us today. So what would you like advise the prospective candidates? Like, why do you think that people should apply to Mercari now? And maybe like what do you look for in the candidates? I guess like Emma and Sue, and you both are involved in interview processes, so maybe you can touch on this. Maybe Emma or Sue. Yeah, go for it.
Like I already said a few things. Maybe Sue would like to.
Okay. So before I apply Mercari, actually I has already been a heavy user of the Mercari. Like purchase handmade accessories, selling my daughter's like old clothes and toys. So I know Mercari's feature, but but of course, like for overseas candidates, we don't expect like you already know Mercari before you entering here. So we're more looking for the candidates for product managers role, technical product managers role. We like who has candidates who has experience in this domain, and who has a data-driven problem solving mindset, and who has be able to drive the project across teams, across projects, across like different products. And most important, we are looking for the people who has a passion to improve Mercari products with us. So that is like most important thing we think during the interview process. And Mercari has a very professional and diverse and passionate TPMs team. So we have experts in almost every domains, and not only the TPM engineering team, as you already see, like we have a very efficient professional members. So I think those people make me very motivated to work here, and that is also the main reason I joined Mercari. So if for the candidates who want to work in this kind of environment, I think definitely should apply us. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right. So on that note, I think maybe we should move into Q&A. So thank you, panelists, for an amazing discussion. It was really interesting to hear from all of you. So yeah, it seems like we're getting quite a few questions. So let's go through them. Okay, where should I start? Maybe on this hiring process question. Okay, so how was the hiring process? Job requirements for ML engineers looks pretty intimidating. Do you meet all requirements perfectly when applying? Who wants to take this? Maybe Emma or Anastasia, since you're both engineers.
To be honest, I can't remember. I'm not actually sure.
Do you meet all
what our requirements are? I think the exact requirements are not like I mean, obviously they're important, but yeah, I
Mm.
think people with like open attitude and like really flexible is more important sometimes.
Mhm. Yeah, and culture fit definitely is
Yeah,
can be like the most important, aspect. So
Yeah, when I applied, I think I didn't fit everything entirely. So I think like maybe 80%. But I try to emphasize that I'm eager to learn. So
Mhm.
Yeah, so every company has their own like way of writing things, right? There's always going to be a lot to learn. So as long as you can prove that you have like the basic things required in order for you to learn and the ability to learn, then that's the most important thing, I think.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and then you'd be surprised how carefully like your resumes are going to be reviewed. So obviously that's this. Whether or not you fit the requirements is not the only thing that your interviewer or your screener would be looking at. So okay, so let's move on to the next question. Should I go in order? I guess I should. All right. Now that you're allowed to work from anywhere in Japan, do you live or plan to live in Tokyo? Sorry, I can't read. Do you live or plan to live in Tokyo or move to other prefecture? Who's planning on living outside of Tokyo?
Actually, yeah, I was really exciting about this your choice culture. Yeah, it's like finally I have a chance to maybe living in like somewhere else, like outside Tokyo. But I found out that because I have daughter and she's going to the elementary school next year, especially difficult to move. But in my team, there are members actually really like move out of Tokyo already. Like some members, I think, moved to Hokkaido.
Oh,
Yeah,
I also know quite a few people moved to Hokkaido.
really?
yeah, and another member also moved back to the like hometown. Yeah, so I'm really jealous. Yeah.
Nice. Well, good thing about Japan is there's no time difference within the country, so even if you move anywhere, you can basically
Yeah, and some members also choose the area like where it has the Shinkansen that you can actually like travel just like 1 hour or plus by the bullet train.
True.
To Tokyo like office if there is offline like meeting or team building. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. If I had a driver's license, I would be more inclined to move outside of Tokyo. But so far, I enjoy the train system so much that I'm too lazy to get a driver's license.
Yeah. Train is very convenient in Tokyo. Definitely. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. What's the most important point for you, Mercari, to improve candidate experience during hiring process, especially for this pandemic time? Sorry, did I read that right? What is the most important point for you to improve candidate experience? Yeah. Well, I guess maybe to rephrase this, what's the most important candidate experience do you think that we should be working on, I guess, during this pandemic time?
We already did a lot of remote interviews before Corona, so we were kind of used to it. The time difference would be the most difficult part. Like, it's even while working, the time difference can be difficult.
Yeah. To me, also, like I feel I applied Mercari recently, so it's already after the COVID situation. But my impression about Mercari was like it already be prepared for this kind of situation. So even I think before like before a long time ago, like they already been discussing about like working remote, this kind of stuff. So I remember my impression like Mercari was like one of the like fastest like IT company like allowed to work from home.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes,
So,
I think you're right.
Yeah, that's the reason actually I wanted to like apply Mercari. I was very impressed by the speed.
True. Yeah.
And
We act
also,
really fast.
yeah, and just to add to it, also during in my own personal experience, before I actually started the interview rounds where I was being assessed, I also had a short briefing session with HR and talent acquisition team who already told me that once we hire you, and because of the fact that borders are closed right now, you would have to work remotely and how everything would be taken care of. So that part was already clarified before I actually entered into the interview process.
Yeah, that's true. I think as HR, one of the things that we try really hard to do is to keep our candidates posted, in a timely manner, so that nobody's like left in the dark, basically. Yeah, even during like uncertain, processes and, lots of uncertainties. Okay, so there's another question regarding interviews. So I used to interview with a Japanese company and I failed the second interview. And because of that session, the interviewer had an interpreter for translating all questions and answers. How can I improve myself to pass the interview with a Japanese company? Yeah, that's a very good question. Maybe
Yeah, I'd
Anastasia?
like to answer this.
Go
Yeah.
for it.
For me, I failed so many interviews. And what I want to say is that if you're constantly failing with Japanese companies, my advice to try to interview with a non-Japanese company, especially for bigger companies for which relocation is not an issue, and see if it's your skills are lacking or if it's just another reason. Because for many Japanese companies, I feel that there is a risk. So they feel the risk of relocating someone to Japan because Japan is, unique country, and there is always a risk that a person will move away from Japan after relocating, and maybe there is just a such risking yourself. So yeah, my advice to definitely visit Japan before looking for a job there. It will be quite nice if you learn a language because it will show that you are interested in Japan, that you are determined to go there. And well, yeah, do not give up because it took me so many attempts to to actually find a job. So yeah, don't give up.
Thank
Yeah,
you very much. Sorry.
yeah. Yeah, sorry, and just to add to Anastasia's point, I mean, for me, it's my first experience working for a Japanese organization and with Japanese people, basically. But then I also have this feeling that maybe Mercari is, maybe if I can say so, it's quite different as an organization. It's pretty international. Like Mikako-san, you mentioned that we have people from more than 40 nationalities working in the organization. And if I look at this question, the because the person says that they failed the interview process because in the second round there was an interpreter translating all the questions and answers, but in my case it was like all English. So I'm not sure if you have already applied to Mercari. If you haven't, then please do so. You yourself would experience that it's quite different. It's not that you would be asked, you're expected to answer questions in Japanese only. So it's going to be very different. So, like Anastasia said, don't give up. Please keep trying.
Keep trying. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, everybody. And I think we might be getting a few more questions, but maybe we can answer them in the chat directly. Since in the interest of time, we should probably end here. But before we let you go, can everybody please answer the survey for the event? And we would love for you to keep in touch with us. Stay in touch if you're interested. So yeah, please take a moment to answer the survey. And thank you very much, everybody, for attending our event today. I hope you enjoyed and found the information helpful. So yeah. And thank you very much to our panelists. Please give a round of online applause. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you very
having us.
much.
Thank you very much.
And we look forward to seeing you at Women in Tech Volume 7 in the future. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.